So we've got a special privilege, special treat today. We've got one of our newest Circle of Champion members, Mr. Ray Cervantes, just less than 3 weeks ago, closed his very first real estate deal of any kind, wholesaled a 21-unit apartment building for $21,000 and change. So congratulations, Ray.
Thank you.
Outstanding job. And we got a lot of people that are here today and that look to do their first deal. And this was your first deal, so I've just got a few questions I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
Okay. First off, for the benefit of everyone here that's going to be here today and watching, tell us about your background as far as real estate goes. How did you discover real estate? How did you discover apartments? What training have you gone through?
Okay, I've done a few workshops, or seminars, nothing really big before until I came to your boot camp. That was really the first formal training that I got any real estate. I hadn't done any real estate transactions at all other than buying my personal residence. And that's really it. The only training I have is just what I've learned from here.
From here at the boot camp.
Right.
And so let's talk about your property. It's 21 units and down in south of Houston. How did you find this deal?
It was a seller called me from postcards that we had sent out for the Done For You marketing. They sent out postcards, 100 of them a week, and it was just a call that I got an email saying that somebody had called, and I returned the call, and that's how it started. And
tell me a little about the process. How in getting this seller to agree to sell, how did it start off? How did the negotiation evolve?
The original asking price that on the initial call he was asking for $600,000, and we got all the financials and stuff, and we went over it. And our initial offer was, when I spoke with my coach, it was $523,000. We offered $523,000. And then he responded a counter offer actually at $500,000, which was $23,000 and less than I had offered. So he told me when he called me back after he had received my offer that if I could just come up with $500,000 that he would be willing to sell it for $500,000. And I was already willing to pay $523 for it, so I was like, okay, great.
Slick negotiator.
So we went ahead and I got the LOI signed. He returned it. That's when we went into contracting. I worked with my coach Ernie and with Lance as well. We came up with the contract and then got that out to the seller, and he signed it and kept going.
So now you got a contract. You wanted to wholesale it. You wanted to find a buyer. How did you end up finding your buyer for this deal?
Well, we had done the buyer generator as well, and I was getting a lot of calls from there, but the actual buyer that actually bought the property I found through one of my Facebook groups. I had posted it myself on Facebook, and it was a Houston area I don't remember the exact name of the group, but it was a Houston-based group, and he contacted me through a Facebook message, and he gave me an offer of $515, I think was the initial one, and then I countered back at $525, and he accepted that. Originally, we were asking $550. I'm sorry.
So you were asking $550. You sold at $525. You have it under contract for $500.
Right.
So you've got a $25,000 assignment fee built in. And what was his funding source? How was he going to purchase it?
With private money. He was doing with hard money. He was going to take out a hard money loan and do minor rehab, just like cosmetic stuff on the exterior only, and then he's going to cash out. We'll do a longer term to buy a whole longer term loan.
All right. And so now you got a contract. Now you got a buyer. Going to closing. Anything happened during that process between the assignment and getting it closed?
Yes. Our seller, we signed on April 16th, I think it was, and he said that he was not going to proceed with the deal if it took longer than May 22nd. That was the original date that he had told me, and that he was not going to sign any kind of extension or anything like that. So we're getting close, probably somewhere around the 14th or so, and I realized that we're not going to be able to close in time, and so I had to go ask him if we could get an extension. And he had already seen, we had already done the escrow, we had already put our earnest money up, we had already done the inspection. We had not got the appraisal done because that was the time that it was raining a lot here, and we had the appraisal set up, but the appraiser didn't actually go out because we had that 2 weeks worth of rain. And so that pushed us back, so that kind of helped me a little bit when I was talking to him. I got him to go ahead and say, okay, I will sign an extension. So he signed a week extension, and then I went back to the buyer, and we had everything was going straight, and we get back down to the closing day, and it turns out that the survey that the seller had provided was not up to date. So we had to sign another extension, but he didn't want to sign an extension. He was already saying, okay, well, I'm just going to hold on to it myself and just not sell it. He said, because he never really had the need to where he had to sell it now. He could still hold on to it. He was just selling it just to liquidate. So he said, I'll just hold on to it. So I was just like, okay, well, that's it. I didn't do it. And I told him, okay, well, if you change your mind, give me a call back. We were talking on the phone on that, and I hung up, and I just said, well, hopefully he'll call me back. And it wasn't even 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, he called me back, and he said, you know what, if we need one more extension, I'm going to go ahead and give you an extension up for a month. And he said, but his stipulation was he wanted to keep all the rest of June rent. Instead of prorating it, he wanted to keep all the June rent. So I was just like, I'm pretty sure my buyer's not going to want to give you half the month, because this was like in June 15th or so. So you're talking half of the month rent. So I just said, okay, well, let me figure out something and I'll get back to you. So I called my buyer, and of course he said, no, I'm not going to do that. So I was just like, okay, well, I started thinking, what can I do? I called my seller back. I said, you know what, I'll sign the extension. I'll let you keep all June rent. And I signed an agreement with my buyer saying that I would pay out of my assignment fee whatever was prorated for the June rent. So at that time, I had an extension for a month, so I was trying to push it back as far as I could now, because the longer I pushed it back, the more money it was for me. So we got all the way to June 24th when they finally got the survey done and everything was ready. And they went to closing, and it closed, and I think it ended up costing me a little over $3,400 and some change. What would the difference between $21,570 and $25,000? So that's where it went to closing. I picked up my check, and that was it.
You stuck with it. You stuck with it. You stuck with it. Persistence. That was the thing. All right, so you've got people here learning, preparing to do their first deal. People are going to be watching this video, learning, preparing to do their first deal. Looking back at it in hindsight, going through the process now, your own first deal, right? What's the single most important thing you learned in this process?
Really, it was just how easy it was to do on my side. Like, I knew what I was doing when I didn't think I knew what I was doing. And I just kept going through the process and kept going forward, and everything worked itself out, really. It was just a confidence builder, I guess, now. I feel like I can do 100 of them now, and I've only done one. But it's like a whole nother mindset. It just like a 180-degree switch. It's crazy.
Very good. Congratulations. Great job.
Appreciate it.
Round of applause, Frank.